Gerry, how are you?
Looking all over that. I thought, name looks familiar. Must be that place.
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Good.
Have a seat. Come on in.
Sure. Close the door for a
Yeah,
second.
sure.
Things are well with you?
Yeah,
stay
going
over here
good.
because I don't want to ruin your carpet.
All right, no problem. Yeah, things are good. Busy. Very busy. Yeah, things are doing well.
Pays the bills.
Yeah, well, for sure.
This is a significant conversation, my friend. And,
Sure.
That's why I want to see a eyeball to eyeball on this one. In the course of the last 2 weeks, since
Yes.
the by-election was called, there has been discussions with the Premier and with Glenn Thibeault. Thibeault, as of this morning, has decided he's going to run.
Glenn Thibeault, okay.
Yeah, so he will not only cross the floor, he's going to cross the levels of government. Instead of being the federal member, he will run for the provincial member. So that's huge because it will totally deplete the NDP because we now have an NDP MP running for Liberal MPP.
Yeah.
So she and Pat Thibeault and I have had these conversations, which I have been totally sworn to silence for this period of time.
Sure.
So this morning, after he told us he was, I asked him, I said, look, I think it's only fair that I talk to Andrew and I talked to Marianne. And I said, that's why I called you. In fact, I called you about 3 minutes after I hung up the phone from them.
Okay.
And I said, I know that the intent was to have open nomination with Andrew and Marianne selling memberships. I said, the nomination I think is very important to Glenn, but obviously he'd like to have an acclamation that everybody's behind him because the NDP are going to shit all over him.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
So I come to you on behalf of the Premier and on behalf of, I guess, Thibeault, for more indirectly, to ask you if you would consider stepping down, even more than that, Andrew, nominating him. In the course of that deliberation, the Premier wants to talk to you. They would like to present to you options in terms of appointments, jobs, whatever, that you and her and Pat Thibeault can talk about. Having said that, and I made it very clear to Premier Wynne and to Pat Thibeault, I said, if Andrew says, take a hike, you know what, I'm going full tilt still, we have to respect that. But I said, this is not running against Marianne Matichuk. This is pretty significant shift of the universe for NDP to Liberal, 2 different levels of government.
Sure.
So
wow.
Nobody knows about this, okay? You were sworn to silence.
You got to admit, I'm a little floored.
Well, we all were floored.
Yeah.
Like, when this gets out in the media, this will be huge. This is like a tidal wave because this is just unbelievable. Like if you go home and say it to your mother, guess what, Mom? I think Glenn Thibeault is going to go and run for the Liberals. She'd say you're crazy. This is just wasn't. That's why nobody knew.
Okay.
Okay, and that's why because nobody's really believing it, and then we didn't want to create a mess where then people say he's running, and then he gets on the media and says I'm not running. So he is committed this morning. He said to me, "Are you going to talk to Andrew and are you going to talk to Marianne?" Marianne, between you and I, is a little bit of sour grapes because Marianne, I should have run the last time. Well, shoulda, coulda, woulda doesn't do a whole lot. You did run, and I think on the basis that if you wanted to run again, which you've indicated in the media, that was an expectation in our community, Andrew. But I don't think anybody had the Glenn Thibeault name in that same sentence, and now it's in the sentence. So, what's your thought on this?
Wow. Well, I'm a little floored because when this all went down with Joe and whatnot, I mean, I just thought, there was a lot of things going through my mind. We're going to run again. And in speaking with the people that were part of my team and close to me, my family and whatnot, we were all pretty comfortable in getting this going. And nothing beside Glenn. I mean, he has been a fantastic representative for Sudbury. He's, he's a veteran politician. And as you said, jumping the floor from one party to the next in terms of going from a federal to a provincial, even so, that's huge. A big commitment for someone to want to take on, especially in Glenn's case. That's crazy. But I mean, my intentions were to run in this election. You got to admit, you probably have to give me a bit of time to figure this out.
That's what we're doing face to face. This is not something over the phone.
No, I agree. I mean, that's
all I ask of you, because I do respect you, and the fact, and I did say to them, Andrew's on the record saying he wants to run. I told Matichuk not to do that, to her credit, she was planning to make the announcement on Monday. So she actually called me to tell me about the announcement on Monday, and she was kind of pissed off. I'll be quite honest.
I'm sure.
I said, I don't really think you should make the announcement. And her comment was, no, okay, I'll stand down. I'm not happy about it, but I get it that Thibeault is obviously a real win for a win to be able to say, geez, I'm such a good premier, I even got the NDP people now running for it.
Well, it's a big statement. It's a huge statement to make.
So, but in your situation, I think there's more commitment to you that if you say, fine, I'm going to go along with this because it's the right thing for the premier and the party, but in turn, I have to be guaranteed a future in what's going on. I think they should give that to you, Andrew, either very short term and say, this is what we're prepared to do, and by the way, down the road, we're prepared to support you in other endeavors or whatever you want. But you do need to think about it. My concern, Andrew, and this is why I'm talking to you, whether it's Conway Fraser, whether it's Rick Bartolucci, when none of them know about this. Okay?
No, okay.
Nobody knows. Like,
no,
it's a very small circle.
And as I said, I mean, the last I talked to Conway was the time when Joe had stepped down. And, you know, he's been just reading it on the papers, and I get, you know, the odd comments through him, but I haven't talked to anybody. There's Aaron and I and Mark Newell, and, you know, that's our gang. And again, this is not leaving this room.
No. But I think you need your comfort level to, and by the way, if you say, hell with it, I'm going to run, well, guess what, Glenn? Go start selling memberships. Guess what? We'll have a full-blown thing. I shouldn't say that because I can't say that. I'll retract that.
Sure.
The premier up to now has always said to me she's in favor of a nomination process. So I want to make that really clear. She's never said to me, I'm going to appoint him. And to be fair to Glenn has never said, I want to be appointed.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, so, well, there
there's
egos.
Well, I'm sure. And I mean, with Glenn, I mean, he's in a pretty stable position as it is. He turns around and starts selling memberships. I mean, that's
It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're depending on you, my friend. And again, how much fire you got in your belly, only you know, Andrew. And again, I think you need to think about it.
I think that just a question that's just running through my mind right now is there an issue with me as being sorry?
No. Oh God, no. That was never the issue.
I'm wondering. I mean, as things have gone, I mean, it's been pretty quiet for 2 weeks.
The 2 weeks are all about him.
Yeah, and I'm sure. And it's just you know, you gotta, on my side of the table, it just really sounds like, you know, there's been a lot of fishing, I guess. No, nothing like that. It seems just a bit, you know, painful on my end seeing that, you know.
When they called me, I said I don't believe it.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm sure.
So I'm sorry, I'll give you one other piece, Andrew.
Sure.
For the last 3 years, I have been harassing Thibeault to cross the floor federally and join Trudeau's group. So they called me and said, are you trying to get Trudeau to run for us? I said, yeah, federally. No, provincially. Never. I said, I wouldn't think that in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And so they said, we got this rumor from Dominic Giroux that he's pissed off with Mulcair and he wants to run for us. So Glenn and I are friends. I said, Glenn, I want to take you out for breakfast. Took him out for breakfast. Lo and behold, yeah. So no, there was never. This was never.
It's just, you know, on my end. No,
I
get that, and again, like, Glenn is a fantastic politician, a great guy. You know, I don't know him that well, but I mean, I've crossed paths with him and always been a good person, and it's nothing to do with that. It's just, you know, now that this has come up, it just, to me, it seems. I don't know. I definitely have to think about it.
Oh, definitely.
I wouldn't take more than an evening because I just had another meeting with 4 or 5 people today, you know, looking to sell those memberships, and we're going pretty much full out. So to turn around and pull a 180 like that.
This is tough, Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess the thought is, not only is it tough, what's in it for you? I hate to sound that kind of Machiavellian about it,
sure.
But at the end of the day, if you take the high road on this, what is your reward? What do they say? Andrew Olivier took a bullet for us. So what do we give to Andrew Olivier? And by the way, I've already raised that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I said the guy ran the last time, almost won, got a passion. He's been a good candidate. Likely, if he got a little bit better start the last time with perhaps a little bit better mentors, he'd be the sitting member now. Chimino screws it up, so he has soured the NDP. We now have a federal incumbent that's popular, that's willing to run for us. That wasn't in the scenario the last time, Andrew. So no, nobody was fishing.
No,
for
no,
him.
that's fine.
No,
That's fine.
And
I mean, now that it's come up, the
Yeah.
conversation has to be had.
But I think the thought is, what I'd like to do, if it's agreeable with you, you're a class act. If you said to me, Lougheed, there's the door, get the hell out of my office,
Well,
I'll see you in the nomination time, then I wouldn't say what I'm about to say. The reason I'm here is that Wynn wants to call you, but she doesn't want to be told to F off.
Well,
So
no, that's definitely not my case.
I know it is. So if it's agreeable with you, I'm going to ask her to give you a call, and you and her can talk directly.
Sure.
But I want to see what your lay of the land is.
Honestly, I envisioned myself campaigning and running in 4 years. I see no reason why I wouldn't do it now.
Okay.
I think with the support and the track record from the last election, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling great.
Well, I
about
think
my
everybody
chances.
does because of how Chimino left things. Like this is the opportunity we didn't have.
And I understand,
Yeah.
and I don't want to take anything from Glenn. And I mean, it's a great situation, opportunity, so to speak, right now. But I'm still leaning towards probably running, Gerry. I'm not gonna lie. I have some. It's not just about me at this point. This is myself, and there's a lot of people involved, and more of the people that I care about, my family, mostly, and the people that really worked hard. So there's a lot of consideration to take, and a message would have to be made if I do take the high road, and I'm sure everybody will respect my decision and whatnot. If I continue going on seeking the nomination and becoming the candidate, I mean, I still have that full support as well. So, right now, if you said right now, if I had to make a decision before we walked out that door, Gerry, I'm going to run.
And Andrew, I respect that. And again, my whole issue is that I'm the guy on the ground. The reason I'm presenting it the way I am, you need to follow your instincts, obviously. You need to look at the short term, long term, which you are. You're a smart guy.
Sure.
You're a consultant. The reason you consult is that you give good advice.
Yeah.
So, my point is, Wynn has not tipped her hand on anything. All she has done is told me that there's this miraculous candidate come forward. If it was, like Matichuk was telling me about the 100 people that are all going to sell 10 memberships, and she had 1,000 people, and she could beat Andrew Olivier, and that talk's cheap, okay, which is all good. And in an open nomination, go and sell. Joe Blow the janitor could go sell 1,000 memberships and beat both you guys. That's what that's all about.
Hey, and and that type of defeat, I would be fine with.
But that's the reality of that. This is likely the most extraordinary circumstances you're ever going to come up with.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
No, I don't think. Well, as I said, when I was told this, I thought they got me mixed up with asking him to go to Trudeau, because I have had that conversation once.
Sure, and that's a brilliant move if you really think about it. I mean,
but I think he and Mulcair have had I think it's pretty obvious now they've had a falling out. And I guess last week he resigned as chair of National Caucus.
Wow. Hey.
So I guess there is an ill feeling. I don't know. But having said that, between you and I, and this is the issue, the Premier may stay with the nomination, she may go with an appointment. You don't know. I think you and her need to talk about it.
Well, I would definitely be up for a conversation. I would not disrespect
so I'm going to tell her to call you.
Sure.
The other thing that I think that you need to think about, my friend, and it's totally your call on this, if you say, fine, Premier, I get it, you know what, this is certainly a shift of the NDP Liberal universes, and I respect that, then you need to say, so why would Andrew Olivier be motivated to do this? What is in it? What's in it for me? Politically, what's in it for me? Am I long-term, short-term? Is there an appointment? Are you going to let me head up a commission? What are you giving me for me to step down that is worthwhile? Otherwise, guess what? I want to go sell memberships and see what my chances are. And I think that's the point. Only you and Kathleen Wynn can have.
Well, and I mean, I'd like to level with people. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm doing in this business. This, getting into politics is, I think I have that ability to speak with people, put people together, and come up with the right solutions. But like I said, if this was, set aside for who it is, I was prepped and ready to go.
Oh, I know that. You're on the newspaper side. Like that part of it, Andrew. And again, Matichuk, to be fair to the woman, I don't think she's insincere. I think on Monday she was going to hold a press conference and she was going to say, I want to go on race against Andrew Olivier. Mm-hmm. Okay, we all get that.
I'm up for any...
nobody had the incumbent veteran politician step up and say, I think I want to change teams, and I think I want to do provincial instead of federal. And let's face it, even the last time with Andrew, if Glenn had come forward at that time, it would have changed the universe a lot.
Guaranteed. But he didn't, and actually, not too many people did at that point. There was just Elise and I, and I understand the situation and the delicateness of this one, and you know, we're looking at the future. We know, you know, who's in government, and I can appreciate anybody coming to an open nomination, right? And again, my position, as I said, with Bill and the riding, I was right with you that in that very meeting, the first word it might as well have been Rick sitting there.
Well, he
you know.
The script for him,
So, you know.
But even Rick here, Andrew, like, anybody's hard pressed to say having Glenn Thibeault across the floor and join your party is not a good idea. Like, everybody will be. It's whether you feel.
Oh, well, I'm not even going to bring that discussion up, because I could sit here and thinking of it in my mind. Is it a good decision for him or not, or whatever?
Yeah, but it's his decision.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, and I respect the fact that he wanted to hear on my point of it. Sure.
I'm as much here in terms of him saying to me that he wanted to make sure that you had, like, if this had happened a week ago, okay, and you said, hey folks, it was a week ago, how come you're just talking to me now? Piss on you.
Yeah, exactly.
This happened, when I called you.
This morning.
Yeah, so are you in this afternoon? I'm here, okay?
And I agree, and you know what, you know, once you get in the right mindset, and where I've been in over the past 3 weeks, or whenever we had the meeting with Pat and the gang, you know, I felt great. I think that we were able to really put something together here and put this campaign.
But see that I can't say that for sure. I don't think that was in the cards at that meeting.
Oh, this? No, of course not. No, I'm not saying that this is something that people were concocting over the last little bit. No, but I'm saying, with that feeling, moving forward, I think we will take the seat right back.
And by the way, I think, although the NDP seem to be lining up in droves, I think it is Paul Lohenberg. Now, to be fair to Paul Lohenberg, I'm not a big fan of his personally, but hey, he almost took Barlucci. So whoever gets the nomination, we can't take it lightly.
No.
I think it's a lot harder for Paul Lohenberg to look Glenn Thibeault in the and say, you don't understand NDP policy. No, I think I do. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
So, but having said that, you'll likely look him in the eye and say that's something similar to that, Andrew. You, in your heart of hearts, have to say what's best for riding, what's best for Andrew, what's best for the Wynne government. And as you go through that checklist, all I'm going to say to you, I'm going out to my car, I'm going to call her, I'm going to say, please give Andrew a call, he will receive your call. I'm going to say, I think right now, he's still not convinced he should step down. If you step down, I think the key thing is, Andrew, you need to make a huge statement and say, I'm going to step down and nominate Glenn so that nobody can play one against the other.
Of course. Yeah, I would not, if I was ever going to make that decision, it would be definitely to endorse Glenn's position.
And Marianne, I think, has to just...
She'll just run away on that one, yeah?
I think she has to.
Okay.
But again, those only after you have made your decision.
Wow. This is not the conversation I thought I'd be having, but it's a good one nonetheless. But I really appreciate that.
It's a historic one, my friend.
Yes. If, like I said, give me...
Well, call me tomorrow.
Yeah, is that all right?
I'm going to have her call you tonight.
Oh, sure, okay.
I think you need to hear everybody's voice.
Yeah.
And then listen to your own voice.
Sure,
okay.
Sure. I'll answer whatever calls come through. Thank you very much, Gerry.
Okay.
We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.